Alright, we're going to take a look at our last quadrilateral. Again, quadrilateral is the biggest topic we've talked about. Okay, it's talking about all of these four-sided figures. The kite is the last one. It is a quadrilateral with two distinct pairs of congruent consecutive sides. In other words, these two sides are congruent, these two sides are congruent. If you're going around the kite, these two sides that are next to each other are going to be congruent. And again, it's pretty obvious that these two sides are not congruent. So you're going to go with the two shorter ones are congruent to each other, the two longer ones are congruent to each other. We also know that a couple other things are going to happen, and I'll mark them on here as we go. We know exactly one pair of opposite angles are congruent. These would be the ones that are on the short diagonal. So these angles are not congruent to each other. One opens up wider than the other. However, these two angles are congruent to each other. One diagonal is the perpendicular bisector of the other. Okay, the longer one perpendicular to the shorter one, so we know that we have a bunch of right angles here, and it also cuts it in half, so I guess I need to use 3 now. So again, the longer diagonal bisects the shorter one, and you can kind of see how that happens. And then the last thing is the longer diagonal bisects a pair of opposite angles. In other words, we know that these two angles are congruent and those two angles are congruent. You could use 3 if you want there. I just used 1 with a little tick through it. So you can see all the things that are going to be true there. So as we go through some of these examples, you're going to be given very little information, but with that information you're going to be able to find out a lot of things. So, given the kite scar, with SA being the short diagonal, measure of angle SRA, so SRA is this whole thing down here is 46 degrees, and CSA is 35 degrees. Find the measure of each angle. So I'm just dealing with angles. So I'm going to go ahead and mark all the things I know are true about angles in a kite here. So first of all, one that's very easy, those are all 90 degrees. Okay, that's going to help us a lot. We also know that those angles have to be congruent. These angles have to be congruent. Okay. Let's see, what else do we know? Let's go back up and look. Do we have everything else? Well, I know that this entire angle here is going to be congruent to this entire angle there. So I'm going to start working with what I have. If I need to, I can go back and find some more stuff. So again, first of all, these are all 90. Don't need to write it 4 times. You might just need to see that right away. So we're going to go ahead and find the third angle. Well, 90 plus 35 is going to be 125. 180 minus 125 is going to give us this angle up here of 55 degrees. Again, keep in mind, I do not like to go in the order that I'm forced to with these problems over here on the right. So I'm going to go in my order and then go back and fill everything in. So we know that that's going to be the same on the other side. So this has to be 35 degrees. This has to be 55 degrees. Okay, down here we have the whole thing's 46. It was cut in half. So we have 23, 23. And now we're going to go ahead and again do the same type thing. 90 plus 23 is going to give us 113. 180 minus 113 is going to give us 67 degrees. And we're done. So now we're going to go ahead and fill everything in. SFR. So S to F to R, that is our 90 degree angle. You can work ahead and see if you can plug everything in. ARF, and then just fast forward, A to R to F is going to give us 23 degrees. SCR is 55 degrees. Make sure you get that middle letter at your point. SCA is going to be the whole thing, so 255 or 110. ACF is going to give us another 55. RSF is going to give us 67. C to A to F is 35 degrees, and then R to A to F 67. So again, make sure you can go ahead and fill everything in from there. Gonna look at some of these segments. So same idea, just doing it a little bit differently. Instead of angles, we're gonna look at segments. Find GO, LV, and the perimeter of the entire kite. LV is the shorter diagonal. Okay. So far I'm given these two sides. Remember, these are 90-degree angles, and I want to find my perimeter. Okay. Well, I already know LO is 20, and these are going to be the same. So I know that's 20. I know these are going to be the same too. So if I can find one of them, I know all of them. Keep in mind this is a right angle, which means you have a right triangle. Right triangle, two given sides, you can find the third side using the good old Pythagorean theorem. So we're going to call this side A, this side B, that side C. And this is going to be a triple. For those of you guys thinking about it, you might already know what that C is. So we have 5 squared plus 12 squared equals C squared. So 25 plus 144 equals C squared. 169 equals C squared. So C is equal to 13. So in other words, it is a 5, 12, 13 right triangle. Add up all the sides, your perimeter is going to be equal to 20 plus 20 is 40, plus 26 is going to give you 66 units. Okay, so be looking for those. You have right triangles, you have two different ways you can find sides. Pythagorean theorem is one way. The other way you can do it is by using special rights, which we will use here. So we want to find MT, so we want to find this entire diagonal across here, and then the perimeter of MITE or might. Okay? Well, we know that this is 4, so this has to be 4. We also know now that we have a couple of things going on. First of all, we have a 30-60-90. We also have a 45-45-90. So we're going to have to do some work here in order to figure out what we got going on. So we know that's 45-90. So we have 45, 45, and 90. Okay. 30-60, 90, 30-60, 90. Okay. Look at the information you have and keep in mind what you want to find. In order to find MT, I need to find both this and this. And then for the perimeter, I need to find both my outsides. So basically, I need to find everything here. So I'm going to start on the triangle that I do have information on. And that's both of them, actually. The 4 is being shared for both of them. And this is actually going to be a pretty darn easy special right. So first of all, I'm going to actually go ahead and label this as the black 4 instead of using red, so we can see what we already had. Label in terms of S's. Across from 45 is S. Across from 45 is S. Across from 90 is S radical 2. There's your information. So for this triangle on the right, S equals 4. Okay. So now I'm done. I know this is 4 for here, so I'm going to plug it back in wherever I want it. Which means this is 4. This is 4 radical 2. This is 4 radical 2 then. I'm going to come back and fill in everything in a second. Now I'm going to do the same thing and start over for the other triangle. And this is again where instead of using S's, if you want, you can go ahead and use like a Q or an R or L or whatever you want to use. So on this side, across from 30 is going to be S, or I'm going to use the different letter just to show you guys what it looks like. Across from 30 is S. Across from 60 is L radical 3, or I'm sorry, L, what I meant before. And across from 90 is 2L or 2S. Again, if you want us to keep using S's, that's fine. It just might get you mixed up between the two. So again, here's your information. L equals 4. Pretty simple setup. You don't have to do any rationalizing or anything like that. You're going to go ahead and plug back in now. So again, this is going to be 4 radical 3. This is going to be 2 times 8, or 2 times 4, which is 8. Okay, so that makes this 8 down here. So now we've got everything we need. So MT, first of all, that's going to be equal to 4 radical 3 plus 4. That's it. You cannot combine 4 radical 3 plus 4 and make it 8 radical 3 or anything like that. Keep it as 4 plus 4 radical 3 or 4 radical 3 plus 4. It doesn't matter what order as long as you keep them separate. Don't combine them. Perimeter is going to be equal to, we have an 8 plus an 8, so that's 16, plus 4 radical 2 plus 4 radical 2, that's like 4x plus 4x, or 8 radical 2 units. So again, we use Pythagorean theorem here. We use special rights there. Be prepared to see both of those, and that's why, again, we practiced those before last chapter. We are going to do example 4 for tomorrow. Again, if you guys want to go ahead and work through it now, that's fine. You can always feel free to do that, but we will do that as a nice little warm-up to get tomorrow started. Adios.